Hello and welcome to the series of our Raspberry Pi 3 lesson. This is lesson 1, and during this lesson what I want to do is to teach you how to turn on an LED, turn an LED on and off using the Raspberry Pi 3. So one of the first things we'll need to do is to set up our Raspberry Pi with all the different components. So I plugged in the ribbon cable. This can only go one way. And I also bring this adapter that goes to the breadboard. So this is your breadboard, and this is your little adapter. And so I'll plug this in from the first pin. Let me see if I can. Alright, so again, we connected the ribbon cable to the breadboard, right, on the first pin, and then it goes. We're not too concerned about the numbers on the breadboard. We're more concerned about the numbers on the adapter, which is actually the same numbers found on the Raspberry Pi itself. So if I were to show you this paper gives a better idea of how it looks. So it's numbered GPIO 2, which is your general input output pins, from 2 through to 26. Not all the pins can be used, but it's labeled here. All the ones in black are the ones that we can use, and this same numbering applies to this part of the board, and again that's on the Raspberry Pi. So this chart gives you a better idea of what we're talking about, right? When I mentioned about LEDs, these are your LEDs. They're light emitting diodes, and they come in various colors. And so we have our green LED. You'll notice that one leg is longer than the other leg. The longer leg is positive, the shorter leg is negative, and these will only light up one way, right? So we have to be careful when we're doing these. The Raspberry Pi gives you a 3 volts on this side of the Raspberry Pi and 5 volts on this side of the Raspberry Pi. And so 3 volts is sufficient enough to light the LEDs without blowing them. If we were to apply 5 volts to the LED, that would cause the LEDs to blow. So in that case then, the kit also brings some resistors, and what resistors does is that it resists or limits the amount of current or the amount of power that goes to the LEDs. And so the resistors ensure that the LEDs won't blow, because if we put it down to a 5 volt or to a 12 volts, it will just limit down the amount of power that the LED gets. And remember, these can only handle 3 volts. So what we'll do is that we'll take a look at the code for the LED on. I've written already. So I want to remote the stop into my Raspberry Pi. Alright, so we're connecting in through remote desktop to the Raspberry Pi. Again, request for username and password. It is Pi. It is Raspberry. So we're into the Raspberry Pi right now, and I have the code that I wrote up under my documents, and the one we're looking at specifically is the one for the LED, right? So I have a bunch of them that we look at through the course of these lessons. And the one we're looking at specifically tonight is the LED. So here is the code for that. And if I can explain the code, there's an import time. So we're importing the time library. We're importing the GPIO library and starting initializing that, and we're setting the mode. So all of these are common codes that we write in Python. We tell Python which pin to use, So we do a GPIO that's set up, and we're using pin number 4 for this particular setting. I have a time set to 1 second, and the last part of the code talks about how long we will turn on the LED for and how long we will turn off the LED for. So this is saying for I in range of 0 to 100, which means that this entire process will occur 100 times or 101 times. It says set time sleep to 1 second and then turn on. So true means turn on pin number 4, wait 1 second again, and then turn off pin number 4, and it does this 100 times. And then finally, after it has ended, then it will do a GPIO cleanup, which cleans up the pin settings for us on the Raspberry Pi 3. So there you have it, a fairly easy, fairly simple setup. I want to show you now how to connect those pins so we can get started with the Raspberry Pi, right? Alright, so on our breadboard, we are looking for, let me get some of these wires so we can use. We're looking at pin number 4 that we will use. So if you notice from the paper, pin number 4 is over here. We'll need to apply a ground to the LED, and we'll also place pin number 4 on the positive of the LED. So pin number 4 on the board is here. We need to ground off the side of the board that we're using, and so there's a ground there on the board, mark G and D. We place that to ground or negative of the 3 volts, and I think we have to pay attention to negative and positive here because on the breadboard the red is inside. From there we will use this LED, and again, don't worry about the coloration here. We're moving the negative of, we're placing the negative there to that section, and then from the positive of the LED, which is here, we're placing that over to pin number 4, which means I did this wrong. This should be ground, and then pin number 4 comes to the positive leg. Now remember I told you earlier that we would need a resistor, and so we could go ahead and put in that resistor first to ensure that we don't blow the LED, right? Because it's 3 volts for this particular setting, I don't really need to use the resistor. So I'm placing the resistor from the positive leg of the LED to where my number 4 wire leads to. Good. And that's basically it. So means that we're providing ground to our LED here, and we are sending the positive to pin number 4. So when pin number 4 gets power, when we tell it in Python to give pin number 4 power, it should light up this LED. So let's head back over to our screen, and we're looking at, I was kicked out from the remote desktop, I'll just log in back. So it is Pi and then Raspberry, and we want to run the code that I have situated in my document. So let's open the terminal, and through the terminal, remember that our code was LED something. Let me make sure I find that first. So I'm in my documents. I'm on the Raspberry codes. Actually, no. And I'm looking for the one called jump this a little bit more this way. LED on, right? So that's the one I want. So in my terminal screen, I need to locate the directory. So I'll do an ls just to list what is there. So ls gives me a listing of what's inside the folder itself, and I'm looking at documents. So I do a cd documents, and I can tab. It's cd documents with a capital D, and that takes me to document folder. I can use ls to list what's in there, and there's a Raspberry folder, so I will do a cd Raspberry to take me into the Raspberry folder. So two commands I'm using right now, and that's the cd and the folder name to get into it, and the ls to list the different files within it. So I'll do an ls again to show me the files, and I am looking for LED on, right? So I know what it is, so I'll do a Python LED, and it's a capital O on.py. When I run that, if you pay attention to here, alright, so here we are, we're going to run the python.led on. I get a warning because I had left the light on earlier. So if you look at it now, every 1 second it blinks. So it turns on for 1 second, turns off for the other second. And it will do this 100 times, right? Or until we tell the code to stop. So think about some of the other applications you can use. Go ahead and try lighting up another pin and placing it into the code. Try lighting up 2 or 3 pins and placing it into the code and see how that works for you. I'll show you guys some more code in the next lesson. In the meantime, guys, go geek yourself.